Hello, welcome everybody.
Yes, welcome everybody to the first meeting that we have in this network. Yes, this 2025. The plan today is to talk a little about the future activities of the Midlands OR network, to remember why we are here, what is the spirit of this idea, because we are not in reality a special interest group. What we are is a unit that tries to create some networking and some synergies between all of us in the area of Midlands. We are here presenting Becky Herron, Emmanuel, and myself, Eliseo. In my case, just use Eliseo because the other is impossible to pronounce. So just don't forget it. Okay, the presentation, the idea is we will talk a little about ourselves very fast, and then we will talk about what we can do, some of very basic ideas about the Midlands OR network and what we can do there in terms of teaching, practitioners, and research. Then we will have a very short conversation and a poll about which kind of activities we can organize, and finally, who are interested in doing this. There is a space, there is a chat, section of a chat, and it will be very useful if all of you introduce your name, your email, and areas of your interest, just for us to have some sort of small in-house database for us to communicate in a faster way. So let's go. This is the current team at the moment. Yes, I have been asked to chair this network. More than happy to do it for a while. But the start of the group is Emmanuel, because he's the secretary and he knows how to do everything. He's younger and he knows technology and he's in a different mood. And then is Becky, that obviously she's always young, but she's the one with the monies. The other person here is Frances, that is as usual. Hey, hello, Frances. And Giabin is helping us sometimes in from Aston. So I don't know if you want to say something, Emmanuel. Present yourself a little.
Yeah, hi, I'm Emmanuel. I'm happy to be here and ready to support as much as possible within the Midlands and the operational research within the Midlands. My contacts will be put up there if any time I can be reached, and I'm more than happy to do whatever I could to support either in the research part or in the practice, whichever it is. I'm more than happy to support in any form. Thank you.
Becky.
Hello, hi everybody. My name is Becky Herron. I'm from the University of Lincoln, and just wants to give a little bit of background to the whole idea of the network. And some of you may have been in the regional network previously, in which case that's fantastic. We would like to build on that experience of what worked well in the past. But this is building on an idea that we started a little while ago and discussed at the Bangor conference. And thinking about how to connect people across the Midlands area a little bit more, so we actually know more about what we're doing and we can find ways of supporting each other in a very general sense. So it's not a special interest group. I think Eliseo and I were talking about this. In some ways it's slightly different from a special interest group. It's more who's interested in operational research, who's interested in systems, who identifies with the OR Society. So we're part of the OR Society, but we're also welcoming other people in terms of trying to tell people about the OR Society, but also as members to try to connect a little bit more. I'm just picking up a message from Tim. I'm sorry to hear your mic's not working, but I hope you can hear us okay, Tim. And thank you for those who've put the stuff in the chats. Please carry on doing that. So I should say, Eliseo said I'm the person with the money. The money is coming from the OR Society,
Well,
and
yes.
it's money to fund us for some tea and biscuits as we go through. So we have to think about how to spend that wisely and do things that support us. So thank you.
And Frances, please.
Hello everyone, I'm Frances O'Brien from Warwick Business School, a colleague of Jürgen. I was, when I first came to Warwick in 1990, I joined the Midlands OR Society then, and I think Penny Mullen may have been around with me at those times too. So it's great to see it resurrected, because in my young career, it was really helpful to get to meet academics from the other main universities in the area that were teaching OR, but also practitioners. I can remember working with, I've forgotten his name now, but he went to Royal Bank of Scotland from Birmingham University, and then he went onwards and upwards in that. But it was really good to meet both practitioners and academics working in OR in the region, and was great as a way of getting into OR and also getting more involved in the OR Society. I think the contacts I made through the regional society really helped with that too.
Okay, let's go into the topic. Okay, thank you, Francis. The first is what we can do in terms of teaching activities. What is the support that we can receive if we work together on doing something? The first one has to do mainly with teaching and learning approaches and how we assess operations research and operations management, because, you know, now they are asking us to do things like becoming, you know, introducing experiential learning, active learning, authentic assessment, and all these kind of strange words. So trying to identify how to use them and how to use them in a positive way in our teaching could be a very interesting thing. So it's changing experiences on the topic could be very important. It's also important in terms of hot topics like Gen AI. What are we doing in the different universities, and in particular, what are we doing in the OR, in our modules, in our activities when we talk about Gen AI? Which are the policies that we're using in the different universities, and trying to identify approaches that can help all of us to be, you know, consistent around the Midlands at least. And other projects we can do, interinstitutional projects, things related with challenges, hackathons, projects between different students of different universities, connecting them and increasing their capability to achieve better employability. We can also do things about diversification in terms of what we can do with institutions, considering the current situation of the economy and how things are going on in the universities. Probably it's not a bad idea to think about sharing modules, building programs together, having joint research students. You know, there are funds located for the Midlands for PhD, for instance, so we can try to identify how to do it together. Also working on topics between institutions and creating hubs in areas like social impact, sustainability, etc. Because at the end of the day, these topics are always considered in TEF, in REF, and in KEF. So it's not a bad idea to begin to build together agendas and to build together positive reports that we can show in these moments of evaluation. And finally, probably things about developing collective proposals for teaching-based research. We can do lots of research that is based on the work that we do with our students. So rather than asking them to do some strange essay about something, maybe we can have them becoming part of the co-creation of projects and research that we can do. We have done some of these things in the past by having the students doing challenges and by collecting the information from the research that they were doing. So, you know, that's one possible way of working together and trying to identify possibilities. Obviously, there are many more, and we are more than open to listen to other ideas that have to do with teaching activities. Okay, practitioner activities. I think, Francis, you can say something about it in general, please. Maybe
I can say stuff as well. I saw that. I saw the sideways look, Francis.
Yes, Francis looks like oops.
Yeah. No, I can waffle on a little bit. I think it's great to have the connections, regardless of whether you're an academic or a practitioner. But I guess with from a practitioner point of view, it's good to have those links, because one, you find out what's going on with latest research, but there's also student projects and recruitment. We have hundreds of students all across all our universities, possibly even going over 1,000 MSc students, never mind relevant undergraduates, that some of whom will be looking for jobs, many of whom would be interested in projects. And I think it's always great to have that link between academia and practice. Some research I did with Robert Dyson said the founders of OR, funnily enough, were all practitioners who moved into academia. And I think for academics that lose sight of practice, they do so at their peril. Perhaps not for their promotional prospects, but for the good of the discipline. I think it's so important to be connected with practice. I don't know too much about KTPs, but maybe you do, Becky. If not, someone like Jürgen may know more about them.
Yeah, I have been involved with them before, and I think some of this is trying to identify things that are kind of in, everyone's been challenged or asked to say how can they do some of these things. But I think for me, it's about making it meaningful, isn't it? So it's just not sort of rushing to do X, Y, Z, but thinking about, what is it we're trying to do? Are we trying to work with a particular organisation? Have they got a particular problem they're trying to solve? And can that vehicle be a good one for recruiting somebody in their organisation that actually can work on it? So a KTP, for those that don't know, the company employs somebody who's working in that company, but they have an academic contact who supervises the person as well as the person inside the organisation. So they're a kind of a combination of academic and university objectives and the project objectives itself. Thanks.
Becky?
I was going to say, I think I said I'd say something about the research following on from that. And, I don't want to tell people that things that they already know, because I'm sure there's lots of experience in the room, and we all, some of us practitioners, consultants, some of us are university academics. And that mix is very, very important in the OR Society. So when you go to the conferences, there's always a mixture. It's not one thing. And I think that keeping hold of that when we're talking about research is important as well, because it can make it quite difficult to actually to publish your research or to write your research up, because it sometimes is that kind of crossover. But obviously within the research activities that most of us, if we're in academia, are involved with, we have this idea of trying to publish, trying to create projects, trying to develop our subject expertise. And I think all of those things, they're always helped. When I look back at things that have worked particularly well for me, they usually work because I know the people, I've been working with them, I understand where they're coming from. And that doesn't take, that's not it's not a short thing. It takes a long time to walk alongside other people and get to know them. But I think in a network, we can do that because we can just start to get to know each other as we meet and understand the sorts of things we're working on and sorts of things we're interested in. I was particularly interested in that early career support, later career support. I noticed Frances was saying, it was really useful when she was starting out, how that network can help. And I think we were also talking a lot at one point about how do we connect to people who've retired or nearing retirement, who want to make those connections still, but also maybe want to connect to early career researchers. So I think there's a role there for me in that part in the network, because that's not particularly we're going to run a project. And I think one of the things we're not saying with this network is, okay, tomorrow we're going to set up a project group and run a project. I think the goal of this meeting is networking, and if things come out of it, then that's perfect. And most of us probably are here because we want some things to come out of it, but we may all have very different ideas about what those things might be. So we have to kind of have conversations to build that further. But I think the very important role that we all have is this idea about the subject development and maintaining the space for conversations about OR and how OR is changing, and where, certainly in publishing, there's an internal conversation about publishing certain kinds of work in OR, and I think maybe there we can also be supportive of each other. Thanks, Eliseo.
So the first question that I think you will be running, Becky, is
Yeah.
about what to find, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, what we've done for today is we've organised a poll just so that we can collect some sort of information from each other. And as you know, we're collecting information in the chat, and the intention is that we'll collate the information that you put in the chat, and we'll start to build a bit of a picture of who's in the room and what they're interested in. But really, the best way we can do that is to have a conversation about it. So we've really taken this time to actually start talking to each other about what things we would like from the network. So if I can, I know we've talked for a little bit just to set the scene a little bit, but I don't want us to just be kind of reading from slides for the hour. I would really like some thoughts from the floor about what people would like to get out of it, and whether anybody is happy to share, perhaps introduce themselves, turn on the mic and say, you know, why are they here? And I know some people will be happier doing that than others, but I would really like if somebody would say some of the things that they're interested in. Hello.
Hi.
Professor Brank, would you like to?
Yes. Okay, so I'm you again. As I put in the chat, I'm professor at Warwick Business School. When I think about the Midlands OR network, I think about what makes it different from any other network, and that's the local aspect, right? So I think we should focus on things that particularly benefit from being locally together. Otherwise, why not have it national or international network?
Yes.
And of the things that came up in the previous slides, I think MSc students is something that is potentially local. KTP projects are local because, as was discussed, they have a supervisor from the university and from the business. And if they are far apart, there's a lot of traveling to be done. So it's good to have that local. I think if we apply for joint research projects, that would benefit from being locally together, because when you write it, you can sit together easily. And when you actually then do the research, you can travel frequently from one place to the other and have more interaction. So I think that would be beneficial. Maybe supporting local fairs or events. That is obviously something benefits from being local. Then we could have some in-person seminars, and just, yeah, to have more in-person events and for networking. I was wondering also whether it would be beneficial to find PhD examiners.
Yeah.
I mean, I often bring in PhD examiners internationally, but it's costly and environmentally not great. So if we get to know each other better, then maybe we know who might be suitable for a PhD examination. Yeah, that's basically what I think. We need to focus on what makes us special, and that is being local, and how can we exploit that. And that's what we should focus on. Things that we can do internationally anyway may be nice, but that we probably can't compete with international networks.
No, very good, very good points. Yes. Our understanding is very similar. We see it as a local network, and we have to look at local things and local issues and local problems, because many of the local issues that we are discussing here have an impact global anyway. So, you know, it's very, 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 very clear and very clever. I didn't thought about the PhD examiners, but it's true. It's very difficult sometimes to find the correct one. You are very right with this. Yes, very good. Thank you.
And I think that question about the in-person events, because so much of professional life is online now, and so we can go around the world, but actually what's perhaps stopped a little bit is going to other people's universities and seeing what's being done there. So I think there's a little bit of wider, you know, just exploring different places locally would be extremely useful. And I think the train network means that we're possibly more closely connected than it seems at first glance. So it's relatively easy to get to Birmingham from Lincoln, even though Lincoln is on the edge of the region. So I think we've got some scope to make some nice trips. Thank you. Anybody else like to add before we have a kind of deeper conversation, some of those things about the events and things? I noticed Tim put in that, I think it was somebody put in the chat about the consultancy perspective. I think it was Tim, but I think he also said his mic wasn't working, so he may not be able to answer. Is there anyone in the room who's an early career researcher who perhaps is looking for some connections as an early career researcher, and what they would look like? So, mindful, Emmanuel, maybe you could say a little bit more about
Hi.
perspective.
So,
Hello.
can I say
Is that
something?
Lakshmi? Please go ahead. Hello, is that Lakshmi?
Sorry, my internet connection is a bit poor. Sorry for that. Maybe I'll turn off my video. Because you mentioned about early career researchers. So I'm a PhD student, and I thought of saying why I joined this session today and what would be beneficial from my perspective. So lots of things have already been mentioned. I just wanted to reiterate in a way. So I think maybe a kind of a mentee mentorship program for students and inter-university network of students and professors involving of mentorship sessions or volunteering opportunities in different real projects might be very useful for students like us or early career researchers like us who are preparing to go to the market. So maybe that kind of real project engagement would be very beneficial. And also, I think more of in-person networking will maybe organizing a kind of open house discussions or networking session for an hour kind of event will be very useful for us. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else like to add anything more to that? Just in terms of sharing calendar events or mentoring and what people would be interested in. We are a network, so in a sense we're not with. There's nobody here who is a paid employer developing something. So this is all OR Society members volunteering their time to support each other. So we have to make realistic and authentic ideas about what we can do. But having said that, there are often things that we're doing that we can connect other people to, and then it collects momentum and collects a rhythm. So I'm thinking about the both of you were talking about seminars and events, and I think there's probably a lot to knowing that something's happening in a particular place, and that maybe the students or yourselves would be interested in coming to those different events. And often we just don't know because there's so much going on. We don't always know that the things that are happening locally.
Hi, I could say something. I think if my mic's working okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, it is. Yes, we can. Thanks, Tim.
Oh, brilliant. Please, I'm on my phone, sitting in a car park, so I wasn't quite sure how to get it working. So I'm an operational researcher, having done the MSc in the early 90s at Lancaster, and then, like many people, drifted off into various industries and worked in rail and water and a lot of transport planning and transport modeling. So I'm now sort of 30 years later re-engaging a lot with the OR Society, and I'm involved in the apprenticeship assessments for the OR Society at the moment, which the University of Kent are providing, I think. So not in the Midlands. But I'd be very interested basically to have a community that connects me back into the academic and the teaching side of operational research, which I've learned now is, I think, mostly called decision science. And I'm particularly interested in the stuff that isn't AI, machine learning, and data science, because my strong feeling about OR, and even if it's called decision science, is that it's the stuff around that that's interesting. I'm not very interested a lot of the time in the programming techniques and the latest high-tech computer chips can do, etc. It's the use, it's the debate, it's the philosophy. And as a transport modeler, I'm spend an enormous amount of my time talking about the philosophy of what we're trying to do, and the wider context and system that transport models, which become more and more complex, are fitted into. So any discussion with practitioners or academics who are really interested in exploring that stuff, and any opportunity to share experience with university courses, to talk to students, to engage and mentor early careers, is very welcome. Is that the sort of thing that you're?
Yeah, that's superb.
Yes, thank you. Yes,
I was just going to observe there, but because the OR Society, I'm sure people are aware of it, but the OR Society has been going constantly, in fact, probably since it started, has been always talking about, you know, what is OR, what is operational research, what is its unique selling point. And you notice the logo's changed. We could have a conversation about we're recording, so we won't go into a controversial conversation, but it's an interesting idea, you know, to refresh the logo. So, you know, the logo is been refreshed as part of a big project within the OR Society to think about what the Operational Research Society is about. Interestingly, they didn't change the name. So, you know, there was a thought, well, maybe we are something else. You know, there's lots of data analytics out there. There's lots of like you say, decision sciences. There's lots of different ways that people who are interested in operational research talk about different things, systems thinking. But I believe, and I'm not the expert in this. We'd have to have. That's why I say I won't record it, but we won't get into it because I'm not the expert. But you know, there has been a big activity to think about the branding of the organisation, and that idea of the name is still operational research, because quite a lot of people said actually that's a unique element that they relate to. So one of the interesting things for me is to see who relates to it and why, and in what way. Because obviously we do have lots of subdivisions within it. We have lots of people who are specialists in one particular method or you know, in a particular area, and would be normal. But there's also generalists who are interested in quite a wide spectrum of activity and trying to work out what it is about, what it is that separates this from computer science or this from management. Straight management is an interesting topic, I think, for everybody.
Yeah.
Hopefully. Sorry, LSO, I think I cut across you, so I shall.
I agree. I agree with this, and I really appreciate Tim's offer, because I just put his name. So I will check in the chat to invite him to come to talk with the students as soon as I have the opportunity.
I think that connecting students, as
is very important.
Francis was saying, we have thousands of students, and sometimes we're working with them at such pace, and yet we're also thinking, you know, what can enrich, or you know, give a better experience. How can we connect to people? And often you suddenly think, oh, that person, you know, in that organization would be really interesting to be involved with this consultancy project, or you know, something like that. And as usual, that I don't sound very like it's very it's emergent sometimes. That's what I'm trying to say. You know, sometimes we go in straight ahead and say we're going to do X, Y, Z, and sometimes it emerges through conversations with consultants, with organizations. And I think that's probably one of the distinct features of OR from my point of view, that has to be that kind of engagement.
I think we're going to the poll now.
Yeah, I think so.
We want to maintain this meeting brief. We will have some events later. We will show you in a moment. So let's probably go with the first poll. So please check what's your opinion.
I'm not seeing a poll, but it might be because I'm on a phone.
Okay. Sorry about this.
But if you can put the question up, I'll type an answer in the chat.
Yes, the point is that what we can do is send it to you by email.
Yeah, sure.
It's easier. If you put your email, I will send it as soon as we finish the meeting, and we'll
Sure.
add the results, because it will be
I'll put it in the chat.
there are many options. So I'm not quite sure.
Okay.
Yes, if we can.
I was just saying, I'm seeing the responses, but not the actual
Yes.
polls. So I'm just trying to work out.
Meeting.
It's saying at the moment we've got
Five of
5
10.
out of 10 people.
Very good.
So thank you for those that filled it in. But I don't know whether the other 5 people have had any difficulty seeing it, or whether they're just thinking on their answers. I don't want to rush people too much.
Yeah.
If you are having difficulty, we can pick up some of the questions with you outside the meeting if need be. But so it's really the idea of this exercise is just to take some of the things that we've been talking about and just see how high up your list of interests they are, whether they are things that you definitely interested in, or possibly interested in, that sort of thing.
We can stop now.
Can you talk through them just to give them a bit of
Well, it seems that everybody's interested in the networking. Good, because that means that yes, we are in the right place. Okay. Presentation on cutting edge OR research. We will talk about that because we will invite people. That's the plan, to do it at the end of May in a in-person case. We will do a mix of in-person and this kind of stuff, and we will do this. However, we have to be clear that we are not a special interest group, in the sense that we are not developing topics. If there are topics that are relevant, and particularly, as Jürgen was saying, focus on a very local issue, then yes, it makes sense. But if it's something else, probably we need to connect with the special interest groups of different topics and disciplines and do things together. Probably we have to organize some of these things together. Workshops on practical skills, again, is very similar. The answer is yes, we have to do it, because that helps us to develop our professional capabilities. And it will be very nice because we can do them with Karen, and the facilities of the OR Society won't be very complicated. We have to discuss which are particular topics that we are interested in. Quite frankly, it will be very interesting to listen which are the kind of practical skills that you prefer to develop, and we can do some sort of a schedule on that. Opportunities to collaborate.
Sorry to interrupt, but when we talk about presentation on cutting edge OR research, I think the easiest would be to just establish a mailing list where all of us can advertise the seminars that happen in our different universities, and then open it up to everyone else to attend.
Excellent idea. Yes, very, very good idea, because we have in all our universities, we have lots of presentations of very specific things. Our department on analytics, etc., they are very busy doing this kind of stuff. They have lots of presentation. Victor has one. Victor Pecker, I think, has one today in the afternoon. So yes, we have to do that. Mail inviting, yes, it's a very good idea. Opportunity to collaborate, yes, we need to identify which are the kind of projects that are available. Becky, Emmanuel, and I, we were just dreaming a little, and we were thinking about developing some sort of repository, some sort of website, something where all of us we can, or an email. The problem is that we receive too many emails, but with a list of activities and potential projects, etc., that all of us have made available. So we want to explore the technology that is available for us to put this kind of information, and all of us to be able to introduce information that can be of use for everybody. So we will discuss this with Emmanuel, that is the one that knows this kind of stuff. And discussions of the future of war, yes, I think it's very important to talk about this, because we have gone through a stressed process, I would say, the last few months about what we will do with our organization, because at the end of the day, the organization is us. So we have to think about it. Opportunities of job opportunities, well, it doesn't seem to be of interest at the moment, and it's difficult to move now. contribute to the advancement of OR. That's very important. Just remember one thing: this network is a network that is open. It's open for people from the OR society and people from outside. So we are developing activities that are usually open. There are some activities that we will ask for some contribution for the people that is external to the organization, you know, to pay coffee and cookies. But our idea is to make it open to anybody that has any interest in OR in the Midlands. Online, yes, it's difficult. Yes, online. I think we are a little tired of online systems. It has some benefits for things like today, but you know, sometimes coffee and cookies has always been my best approach to life. You know, hybrid, yes, we need to think how to do that. There are facilities in the OR society to do it that way. And there are also facilities in our university, so we can organize it, no problem. Monthly, well, we need more people to help if we want to do it monthly, because you know, it's quite difficult to do it, but not impossible. The only thing is that then we will need more people to help us to volunteer, and as Jürgen was saying, inviting, extending the invitation for activities that we are doing in our universities. Quarterly, yes, we are planning on doing the things in a quarterly manner, because we don't want to bombard you with lots of activities, and you know, we have other things to do. Well, half academic, half practitioner, okay, good, no problem. It will be nice to find some students involved too, quite frankly, because some of us were, you know, at the end of the careers, and we need new blood here. And finally, the fifth question, attend events. Yes, excellent. So no problem. Volunteering as speaker. We need to identify who wants to do it, because it will be very useful, particularly if we want to connect our students and, you know, giving them fresh faces that talk a little different and they present their experiences. The ones that want to help us to organize events, please let us know, because that will help us to increase the amount of things that we can do together. Provide access to resources and facilities. It will be fantastic too, because we cannot, you know, we need to share the load, and particularly now that the universities are crossing for, you know, some sort of difficult period. Join the committee. Let me know who wants to be there. And what do you want to do? Because we're a very open system. Assist with the promotion of Midlands events. Again, please let us know. Put it in the chat, and we will organize that. And finally, provide information. Excellent. Provide information on opportunities and contacts. That's fundamental. You say financial support. We don't have money. None of us have money. That's the issue. The only thing we have is ourselves. So ourselves, and sometimes the facilities of the uni, more or less. And if we don't make too much noise, because if not, the conference rooms, they will tell us that, hey, we want some money for it. So we have to be very careful how we market the things we're doing, because then somebody else will say, oh, there is money here. So yes, I think it's very useful, very, very interesting. The next step would be, please, if possible, put your information in the chat, or send me an email. You just put Elisa Vilalta, I'm sure it will be me. Yes, and send me an email, and we can discuss how you can contribute and participate, and what do you want to do. Okay, thank you for this. Do we go to the next one? No, because we are.
Is it worth writing your email in the chat, just so that everyone has it?
Yes, well, yes, because
that would be good.
Again, it's an offensive email. I can tell you that. It begins with evil.
Evil altar.
Yeah, it begins with that. Somebody make a joke I think in the IT department. Here it is. Evil. Somebody decided to put my name in a difficult way. You know, yes, they enjoy life. These people in the IT group. Okay, let's go to the next thing, isn't it? The next thing. 1 second. These are possible discussions, isn't it, Becky? things that we were talking about. We will distribute we'll distribute this presentation, I think, through Karen, because she has the emails of everybody, and she controls, you know, the data of all of us. But there are several other questions that might be of interest to discuss and to reflect and even to answer in future iterations. The other point, Emanuele was telling us that he would help to organize it a little. So Emanuele, please let us know. Just put your microphone on.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Aliso. I think majority of what we should be talking around here has been discussed so far in the poll. So I don't know if there's still any poll that is been to be put up by Karen, if there's any more polls to be put up there. For everything being discussed so far in terms of your contribution, what we like the Midland Oral to be involved with, we will bring all your comments together, and surely we'll be having some emails from us soon on your suggestion and on your points being noted. So we will be taking up something around it. So again, we're looking at if you have activities you want us to do, okay, you can actually give us suggestion on activities you want us to do. Probably you have an expertise in somewhere you want to tell about the region. Like I said, like what Jürgen said earlier on, we having local benefits. So what are the local benefits that we could gain from the Midlands together, or our network? So if there's an expertise or a knowledge or in a specific area that you really want to share around, or probably you are very much free to support in any event that we'll be holding up, probably in the university or in an event within the Midlands. Okay, probably we have an event that we need to run within the Midland network. If you're more free to support, we are very, very, very happy to have you around. And if you could just as well put it up in the chat or in the email you send it to us, we'll be very much happy to contact you about it as well. Okay, if there's any other ideas of activities or topics, basically what would this event today is a scoping event. We want to know what will encourage everyone to come up on board and talk and keep the Midland busy and make it more actively involved with everyone, so that we can keep it alive again. And that's making things that this today scoping activity event is all about for today. I think I see Becky hands coming up.
Thank you, Emmanuel. You've just made me think as you were talking that we were talking about trying to connect to the OR Society as well. So if anybody has anything that they're doing in relation to things with the OR Society, that's also something for us to share with each other and tell. So things like OR in schools as a sort of way of getting people into schools to talk about operational research, or if you were involved in a call for papers or there's a special issue or something. I think that I'm not like Eliseo, I'm not sure what the mechanism is, because I don't want us to be overrun by another system that we have to look at somewhere for information, but somehow to share that kind of thing, so that we're just telling each other there's a call for papers on something that we think might be of interest. It's that kind of passing on generally to people who we think might be interested would be really good. Just to link us a little bit more firmly with what's happening in the society would be great. So publications or projects or work in schools, particularly. They're the things that jump into my mind at the moment, but I'm sure
Yes.
there'll be others as we go through.
Yes, yes. The plan is to use something simple like a Padlet or something like that. You know, that people can come once a month. I don't want to send emails or things like that because it's too much. Obviously, we can send some of the information through Karen, but because it's part of the our society. But things that we are doing inside our universities is much more difficult to share in that way. It's very difficult to do it through the our society. But if we have something like some sort of Padlet or something like that, where we can post the things that we have, very similar to what you find in the supermarkets, no? When somebody's saying, well, I'm trying to find a plumber or something, and you have the things there. It's something very similar to that. Simple, and people can go there once in a while and take a look and say, well, what is here? Yes. Karen, okay, thank you. Yeah, good.
We perhaps should invite people, you know, very low tech, but if anybody does have anything that they want to share that they're doing in the next few months that they want us to know about, please, you know, this could be our notice board. Pin your notice to the chat now, because we are recording it, and we can get that through. And I think we also have to thank Karen as well, because Karen's here from the OR Society, helping us doing all of the registering and the connecting the information. So I forgot to introduce her at the beginning, but thanks, Karen.
Sure. So we go to the last thing. These are the activities we have planned for the next few days. We don't have anything in June because it's the Euro conference that we are doing with the OR Society in Euro in Leeds, if I remember well, somewhere in June. So the next activity that we plan is to do a face-to-face meeting. That it will be you know, half day, as Francis was saying, a half day activity. It will be at Lincoln, 11 to 3. We will invite some people. It will be, you know, coffee and cookies and probably some sandwiches with the support of the OR Society. We will discuss this later. In September, there is no OR Society conference because it's in June. So we will do an activity in that moment. If there is an OR Society annual conference, probably it will be a good idea to have an stream or a section of the program for us. We did the first experiment last conference. It worked quite well. It was a very interesting group of people interested in doing this kind of stuff. So we started what we are talking today in that moment. And in February, we will have another online meeting. So at the moment, we are planning to have, our plan is to have quarterly. We can increase the frequency, but it will depend a lot on how many things we want to do together and how much time we have available. I don't know if there is any comments on this. Karen is talking about organizing a networking event around the IMA. Okay, very good. Yes, we can do it. Yes, we can try to do something at that moment. That conference is in 30th of April to 2 of May in Birmingham. Okay, we can. Why not? People, if we're interested and we want to be involved, we just have to just raise the hand and we begin to do activities together. And quite frankly, that's it. So it will be useful before we finish this to put our ideas, what we have in our minds in the chat, if we haven't done it yet, our names, our emails, and then we can do a very rustic database on a traditional Excel on the basic ideas that we have captured today. And I don't know if there is anything else to say, and if not, time to go for lunch. Anybody, anything, or bye-bye?
I'm just trying to write something into the chat just briefly, which is just
cool.
that you reminded
Yes.
you reminded me of the the Euro conference, the call for abstracts is the 8th of March. So if anybody is thinking of doing it, it's useful just to know that that's coming up very soon, and registering for the conference by the 23rd of March. I'm sorry I failed with the whole getting it into the chat. I think I sent it directly to Karen, but anyway.
Okay. Yes, Team Green. Yes, Team. We met in yes, we met. But you have bird. What happened? Eh? Yes, something happened there. Yes. Have you been sailing a lot? Probably. Eh? Very good. Okay, people. Many thanks for coming, and Karen will help us to collect all the information on the chat, and then we will move forward from it. Thank you for your
we hope that we'll see some of you in Lincoln in May as well.
Yes, of course. There will be cookies and sandwiches and things like that.
Yeah.
So that's fundamental. Okay. Well, thank you. See you
Thank
soon.
you, everyone.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.